the courage to move forward.
In 2018, almost 3 years after the attack, the San Bernardino County December 2nd Legacy Report was published. It was intended to be a publicly available resource for communities and organizations that must respond and recover from similar situations. Already, that report is helping other families and other communities learn from your experience.
In America's largest county, you can get in touch with our recent history or journey all the way back to our ancient past. Camp, hike, fish, or just relax in diverse natural areas. Get up close with local wildlife, knowing your support makes their rehabilitation possible. And discover how our libraries connect you to cutting-edge technology and out-of-this-world experiences. In San Bernardino County, you'll find every adventure. San Bernardino County, opportunity plays here.
In 2006, my husband and I, we ended up homeless. We had this piece of property out here in Lucerne, so we moved on to that with our motorhome. And then code enforcement officer, Sherry Road Truck, showed up at our doors. She told us that we couldn't live where we were living because we didn't have any permits.
Regarding Sandy's case, the county has codes established and zoning requirements that would prohibit recreational vehicles being used as a residence. The reason why is because we often encounter issues like hazardous utility connections, improper waste disposal, and insufficient protection against the weather. These conditions can be dangerous for all involved.
We were actually escorted off our property. The lifestyle I was living wasn't very conducive to family, and I decided I needed to do something different. So that's actually started steps towards me changing my entire lifestyle.
Our officers are trained to establish a dialogue with the people involved. Through these conversations, we can gain a better understanding of their circumstances. This allows us to ensure people don't feel trapped or stuck in their circumstance. By connecting them with the right resources, we help them take steps towards a safer and more stable living situation.
2008, we got our house. I remember the first time I saw the two halves on the property and I started to cry. It was actually my very first home ever, and it's still our home today. I told the code enforcement officer, Sherry, I haven't had a single drink since. And I reached in my pocket and pulled out a sobriety chip to show her. She just set us on the path we're on today. I ended up going back to school. I got my GED and my associate's and bachelor's degrees. In 2022, I got a job with our county library, Lucerne Valley Branch Library. I have a life today thanks to code enforcement. Bless their hearts.
If you find yourself in a situation such as Sandy's, please contact our office. Our staff is here to help answer any question you have and get you on the right path. We're here to work with you.
Through the month of March, San Bernardino County Library is celebrating classic characters throughout the county library system. Read Across America is really popular for the first week of March, but we wanted to take that one step further and have a celebration all month long.
Today's our special characters event. We're having a party with Frog and Toad. These events make literacy exciting because they just engage the children.
For us to be able to have these kinds of activities where, we could check out books to the kids and have fun in that process is so important. Having access to materials is one of the biggest first steps to get people reading.
The library is an integral part of the community, and it's educational, it's recreational. We want to let them know that it is fun to be in the library.
Bring your family, your friends, your neighbors. They have arts and crafts, they have story time, they have painting, activities for the whole family.
Kids can come to the library to have fun, have exciting things to do, come to maybe meet their friends or do activities.
Every time we come, I feel like Lila makes a friend, and so we always meet new people in the community.
I like coming to the library because they have a lot of good books that are very interesting and spend time with my family.
My favorite thing is just the peacefulness when we read our books. It's just so fun.
The library is more than just books. It's a place where little kids can come and do a toddler boot camp and shake all their sillies out. And it's such a fantastic thing to be able to provide to the community.
We're at Paris Hill Park here in San Bernardino, and we're here to assess all of the individuals that are staying here and to try to connect them to resources with the ultimate goal to house everyone.
The number of homeless that were here has increased significantly since I first started here with San Bernardino County. So the city has been working and speaking with us about how do we make those next steps. There's a lot of seniors here. There's families here that I found today with kids. So we're trying to make those connections to get those individuals out right now.
We moved to Washington State.
And during the time that we were there, we got on Section 8. We lived out there for about 5 years, and then we wanted to come back home.
But I had to tell them, hey, it's going to be a process because we have to transition from state to state.
During the time that we sent for the transfer for our Section 8 to come back over here, it took like almost 6 months.
It's been a minute, you know what I'm saying? They said that they were gonna put me up in a room and help me out as long as I'm willing to, you know, figure out my situation.
We don't really have a lot of family or nothing like that. And this is where we were in the meantime. This is not where we want to be, but we had to go through this transition.
They have a plan in place. They were able to, you know, show that. And so with the city motel voucher program for the interim, we're able to put them there while they wait for their permanent housing to be in place.
I have a home now, so that's the good thing about it.
And we're thankful that we met you guys and we met the people that that helped us, you know, succeed into moving on in our lives.
What we're trying to do is not only make a connection and have them feel like here's another group that's coming through to talk to us, but actually get them to connect it so that they can get into some level of housing support.
We're finally getting back on track, and I just want to thank you guys for that.
San Bernardino County has always been the biggest, and once again, we're the best. This year, we earned an incredible 200 achievement awards from the National Association of Counties, winning more than any other county for the 3rd year in a row. There are more than 3,000 counties in the United States, and San Bernardino County continues to stand above them all in terms of accolades for innovation, efficiency, and public service. Under the Board of Supervisors' leadership, we were honored this year for making it easier to adopt a new pet, raising awareness of the dangers of fentanyl, bringing Wi-Fi connectivity to Ayala Park, safeguarding employee emails from phishing scams, cleaning up our communities, rebuilding the Birch Creek Culvert Crossing with storm readiness in mind, launching the County Museum's new and improved website, inspiring the next generation of county employees, improving access to health care records, supporting production of new housing units through a housing development fund. And this is just a sample of the 200 national awards that San Bernardino County earned for the services we provide to our residents and visitors.
ARMC's therapy dog program consists of dogs that have been certified to come and visit patients here at the hospital who may be feeling a little lonely, who may have been here long term. It's just a little visit to put a smile on their face.
You want to guess what she weighs? Close, 1:30. People do respond very well to dogs, especially in a situation like a hospital.
When people meet therapy dogs, right away, the tension just kind of melts away. It lowers their blood pressure.
This is Nova. She is basically a Cane Corso, Italian Mastiff. She belongs to an association called Pet Partners, which is the largest therapy dog organization in the country. She actually loves coming to the hospital and being with the people, and she seems to sense what people need her the most.
Oh yeah, you like your ears scratched, huh? It takes you away from, the present, gives you a little feeling of being home.
Going in and interacting with the patients' families, it helps them more than the actual patients most of the time.
You can't pet a therapy dog and not be in a good mood. This is Tula. Tula Louise. It's going to be 5 in June. She's been a therapy dog now going on 3 years. We had to first get our CGC, which is our Canine Good Citizen. We just 2 years ago joined First Responder Therapy Dogs. Would you like to see the dogs? We try to be here on Mondays. And then she's here during the week on
Tuesdays and Fridays.
And then we have a third dog that's
here Friday afternoons and Sundays.
They're bringing a lot of joy, a lot of kindness to us. The patients love them. The staff absolutely adore them. They bring that stress level down. They're not just here for the patient, and they do a wonderful job at it.
My favorite part about bringing her here is seeing the joy that she brings to everyone, because I know how happy she makes me at home. So just sharing the joy.
Both Nova and I love coming here, enjoying interacting with the people, whether it's the staff or the families or the patients. It's just a good experience, like you're contributing something.
Today we are celebrating the installation of a 1923 Ford Model T here at the San Bernardino County Museum. It was donated by Dr. Herbert Fisher and the Fisher family. This car really reflects the development of the car culture in Southern California and really all of America, and it reflects the development of the middle class. The Model T opened up access to travel for most Americans. This car specifically was used in the area in agriculture for the last 70 years.
It's a 1923 Model T Roadster pickup. With our roots, there's 4 generations of us that are from San Bernardino, and I was always very happy to share it with the community.
So because of the connection between our board chair and Dr. Fisher, after meeting with David and some of his staff, he decided to be gracious and give the Model T to the museum here.
The vehicle that has been donated to the County of San Bernardino Museum is here at Fleet because we are going to get it prepped to be able to have it as a display within the museum. And so some of the things we do is drain the fuels, get the electrical system ready so that people can look at it, and there's no dangers of any fuels or any type of oils that would leak onto the museum floor.
These are drastically different than modern vehicles, so it does take us a little bit of research. I mean, this vehicle is 102 years old.
Obviously, the Model T through history has been a sign of progression, but this car tells the story of Redlands, San Bernardino in 3 lifetimes, essentially.
It was owned by an orange grove grower in Redlands who was a customer of my father's retail flower nursery, Flowerland, in San Bernardino, which started in 1947. In 1950, my father convinced the orange grove grower to sell him the car for $50.
And then it was a delivery truck for the Flowerland nursery.
It's kind of interesting because we lived at the nursery. and we've been taking care of the car since.
So for some of that time, it sat in a garage, but for much of that time, Dr. Fisher was restoring the car to its perfect mint condition that it's in today. He had it in parades, he had it in celebrations.
So I gave some thought to where it should go, and when I found out about the museum, I felt like couldn't be a better place for it.
I think the addition of this Model T to the collection, especially here in history and here in the citrus industry exhibit, furthers the collection that the museum already has. I think it further helps to tell the story of not only agriculture but citrus, and just the connection between the Fisher family, who have been longtime residents of our county, to the museum. It's just a wonderful match made in heaven.
And now we get 80,000 visitors a year who are going to be able to enjoy it.
Disaster can strike at any moment. Whether it's a winter snowstorm, summer wildfire, or an earthquake, being ready is our best line of defense. San Bernardino County knows that we're stronger together, so we're asking you to prepare with us. Visit prepare.sbcounty.gov to equip yourself with knowledge. Sign up for emergency alerts or download our Ready SB County app. Learn how to create a family plan, assemble an emergency kit, and more. Preparedness is a responsibility we all share, and preparedness starts here. Discover why there's so much to love in San Bernardino County by visiting love.sbcounty.gov.
Today, we are at Calico Ghost Town celebrating California Days.
California Days is a two-day festival that we have every year at Calico, and it's to represent the history of California and the significance of Calico Ghost Town.
We have a ton of activities that celebrate the history of California.
The best thing I love about Calico is that it's about living history. And we're here to show you what it would have been like living in town during this time.
Calico is very important to the country and to San Bernardino County because it was the largest silver strike in California. So it really put San Bernardino on the map. A lot of money came out of here, and a lot of very wealthy people made a lot of money here.
The miners, people forget, were the young soldiers coming out from the Civil War to find their fortunes. Because Calico was so isolated, this was the schoolhouse that everybody came to.
People here were resilient, lived through scorching summers and freezing winters. You had to be a pretty tough cookie. Walter Knott saved this town by buying it in 1951. It was completely going to pot because it wasn't a valid mining town anymore. But he had worked here years before and fell in love with it, as a lot of people that are associated with Calico do.
We want people to know their history and know how important it is and where our roots are.
It's exciting to be able to go back in time. A lot of places no longer exist like this.
There's so much for the entire family to do. A lot of music, we have food, we have drink, and just a lot of people and character. We have the gunfights.
It's important for the community to stay in touch with their history.
We do.
Oh, we do?
The ATC.
Oh.
Good morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order and to welcome you all. Thank you for being here today. This morning, I have the pledge and the invocation in the 3rd District, and it is my honor to welcome our pastor from Sandals East Valley, Pastor Justin McVeigh. He has been in ministry for over 22 years in various different roles. He currently leads as the campus pastor at Sandals East Valley, which is one of 15 campuses in the Sandals Church in Southern California. He and his wife, Heather, live in Redlands with their 3 children, and he is here to lead us in prayer this morning. Thank you very much, Pastor.
I want to say thank you to the board first for this honor. I greatly appreciate having the opportunity to be here. But even more so, I want to say thank you to all of you for your service, for your sacrifice. I know your job is often a thankless one, and you receive a lot of criticism, but I just want you to hear from me a great deal of gratitude from myself and from Sandals Church for all you do to make our cities and our county a better place. So thank you so much. Let's pray. God, we just thank you. We thank you for this day, for the breath in our lungs, for an opportunity just to live and to work and to interact with each other, God. Lord, and in this moment, as we draw into the business at hand, Lord, I pray that you would lead and guide this meeting. Lord, I pray that you would give our board members and everyone in this room wisdom and discernment, God, as they seek to ultimately, God, just bring heaven to earth, to make your kingdom come and your will be done. So, Lord, guide them and direct them in all they say and all that they do. Lord, be at the center of this meeting. Lord, and I pray a blessing upon them. I pray that you would protect them and their families, God, and that they would just know your pleasure, God, at what they are doing, God, and that you are pleased. So, Lord, we thank you and we praise you and we give you this time now in your name. Amen. If you join me in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Justin. All right, we will now move on to our memorial adjournments. Vice Chair Baca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have 2 adjourned in memories. The first one is for Jose Francisco Sandoval. It's with heavy heart. I share the passion of Jose Francisco Sandoval, also known as Pepe of San Bernardino. He passed away on Friday, April 25th. Mr. Sandoval was a loving uncle of our San Bernardino County 5th District Behavioral Health Commissioner, Eloisa Contreras. Mr. Sandoval leaves a rich history and legacy. He was born in Jalisco, Mexico, and arrived in the United States in 1955. He initially resided in the San Gabriel Valley and subsequently relocated to the Inland Empire, where he was able to raise his family. For many years, Mr. Sandoval harvested crops throughout the state, mostly in the Sacramento area and the Inland Empire. He had the opportunity to meet Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, our great labor leaders, when they came down to the San Bernardino community. He leaves behind his wife, 55 years, Cecilia, 1 daughter, 2 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. And to Commissioner Eloisa Contreras, your family, please accept our condolences for the loss of Mr. Sandoval. May he rest in peace. And the second one is Hattie Inge, who was 90, of Rialto, California. Hattie Inge was a personal friend of the family. We've known her for over 40 years. She was really involved with the Rialto Black History Society, and she would provide scholarships for 40 years to many of our underserved youth in the Rialto community. She was a retired nurse, and also her husband had passed away in 2013. He was a 25-year U.S. Air Force veteran, and her children, actually one of her daughters is one of our neighbors. They're really, really good people. She is survived by 5 daughters, 5 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, and our heart goes out to the entire Inge family, and may her
family, and may she rest in peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Armendariz. Supervisor Cook. Supervisor Hagman. All right, we have one special presentation this morning. If my colleagues will please join me in the well. It is my honor today to present 3 financial reporting awards to the entire auditor, controller, tax collector team for fiscal year ending in June 30th, 2023. The following 2 awards are presented on behalf of the Government Finance Officers Association. First, the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. This is the premier indicator of excellence in governmental accounting and is for the preparation of the annual comprehensive financial report. Second, the award for outstanding achievement in popular annual financial reporting. To earn this award, the ATC had to take the most important information from a massive and highly technical annual comprehensive financial report and prepare a top quality report that is short and understandable for our constituents. And our third award is presented on behalf of the California State Controller for achieving the highest quality of California governmental accounting and financial reporting. These major awards reflect the professionalism, commitment, and dedication by the ATC Controller Division staff led by Chief Deputy Mima Ubo and overseen by Assistant ATCs Vanessa Doyle and Diana Atkinson. The high level of performance seen by the ATC team supports and exemplifies the Board of Supervisors' commitment to sound administration for the county finances. It is my pleasure on behalf of the entire board to present these 3 awards to the ATC. Ensign, will you please come on up and receive the awards and say a few comments?
Yes, I will.
Come on up.
Thank you, Chair Rao, honorable board members. As I say every year, these are not my awards. I didn't work for them. They are all earned by our staff. I was recently at a conference with my predecessor, Oscar Valdez, and who is now the Auditor Controller of LA County. And I asked him, is from what you hear and what you see, is there anything I could be doing better? And his reply was, no, because there's not a lot you need to do to be good there because of the people that you have underneath you. I've gone from a preference to looking outside for talent to doing most or all of our promoting within, because it's very important that we have the best people I can find in these very important positions. And I find the best people are usually within our own walls. Speaking of which, we have 2 of our latest chiefs with us. We have Mima Ubo, who is now our Chief Deputy Controller, and Shay Younger, who is now our Chief Deputy Treasurer. And we have our 2 assistants over there and over there. All of these folks grew up in ATC, and they are the best and most professional, as well as the entire controller division that earned this, are the best people, best accountants I've come across in my time working as an accountant. So thank you for the work you do. Congratulations.
Congratulations to you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So good to see you. Now we will move on to reports from County Council. Tom?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are no reportable items from closed session.
All right, and reports from our CEO, Luther?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Nothing to report this morning.
Very well. That brings us to our individual board member comments. Vice Chair Baca.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Had the opportunity to participate with our county staff with the Animal Care Center groundbreaking in Bloomington, California. I just really want to thank Luther and his team and the entire staff for the County of San Bernardino that did everything they can to make sure that we continue to move forward with our animal shelter. Clearly, our divorce shelter has had its time, it's worn, but in order to expand services, we thought it was important as a team to continue to expand and improve. And one of the things I really want to thank the team about is just their thoughtfulness. I mean, this was a very, very difficult project to put together. There's so many things that they had to look for to make sure that they had adequate services, and this is going to increase the services for our animal care. And we're looking at potentially at some point in time, as we look at our city partners that are interested in expanding their animal care services, to having a potential phase 2. This is about a $64 million project. It's a great project. It's about a 2-year project. So we're excited to finish it and also have our community partners, but also want to thank my colleagues here on the dais, because really it was a team effort to make sure that we continue to improve our services, within our county of San Bernardino. The thing I want to acknowledge is Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I want to thank our preschool services department that does a great job with all of our county students throughout the entire county of San Bernardino. They do a tremendous job from the 0 to 5 population, making sure that our kids and families not only have, good curriculum, but also many wraparound services. And I don't think people appreciate how much services that our preschool services departments does for all of our teachers. And just want to thank our healthcare workers and public service workers. It's Special Recognition Week for the great things that they're doing. One of the things I want to highlight is our AB 385, which is a county-sponsored bill, which will help the Glen Helen community potentially have a future development, but also expand our park services. This project, or this is moving through the legislature. It went on the consent calendar and will eventually it's in appropriations now and eventually get to the assembly floor. I want to thank Assemblyman Ramos for his leadership, and as a former supervisor, he appreciates the good work that we're doing. So just want to thank him for his good work on that bill. And just wanted to highlight a few items on the agenda. Item 26, which is citrus and other roads, which is many of our roads in our Del Rosa community, which have been long needed to be improved. So just want to thank staff for their support and investment through our roadmap. We've been able to do that. Item 30, Little Third, which is an unincorporated area near Tippecanoe, which is receiving many upgrades and getting the roads and streets and sidewalks repaired. That's a great project. Also, item 31 is in the Del Rosa community for ADA ramps, and we work closely with the city of San Bernardino. I want to thank them for their partnership to pay into this. And just item 46, the continued progress. I want to thank our fire department and our county staff for continuing to move our fire station. This is one of the additional fire stations that we're adding to the county service, which will be in the Rosina Ranch community to service that whole community in the northern Fontana area, but also will serve the 3rd and 5th district. So it's a great project. Just want to thank staff for continuing to keep those moving forward. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Armendariz.
Thank you, Chair. Had an opportunity to actually be a judge at the Seat Heat, which is the Sheriff's Employees Assistance organization, which was held at the Sheriff's Rodeo Grounds. It was actually a fundraiser. It's designed to support our department's employees, volunteers, and the retired personnel for the Sheriff's Department in their time of need, and I was glad to be able to be there and show my support. Also attended the Fontana Days Parade, where I had the opportunity to actually give a award to the Grand Marshal, who is the mayor of Fontana this year, which Aquanetta Warren, who was very heartfelt, had very much a heartfelt appreciation for receiving the Grand Marshal Award because of all that she's done for the city of Fontana. So I just want to give her a little bit of kudos for continuing to do good work. We also attended multiple events throughout the 2nd District. We attended the County Fire Truck Show, the Inland Empire Regional Chambers Spring Series Business Mixer. We attended coffee with the Rancho Police Department and also distributed cakes to our senior citizens in Upland. But lastly, I want to touch on something that is very near and dear to my heart. On Saturday, after the parade, we had a very significant thing happen for the county. And I'm actually very proud that we are part of that second district. I want to take a moment just to thank my staff, Human Resources, Workforce Development, CFS, for continuing to be our partner with this endeavor that we're putting on. After tireless meetings with Diane, Jeannie, Fontana Unified School District, to name a few, we put together a program that we believe would stop the bleeding, or could possibly stop the bleeding, with our foster youth who age out of the system and find themselves on unstable landing pads. Because many of you know that the significant number of them end up either on the streets or behind bars. When our foster kids age out, many of them do not know where to turn. They don't have a support system. They end up in places where, in my opinion, they should not be. And we don't set them up for success. This program had interest of hundreds of foster youth. And on Saturday at the Lewis Library, we had 36 of them actually show up from all across the county. And in one spot, they were given a summer internship program through the county. And we give them opportunity to not just experience a job, but to give them the tools necessary so that they can truly find what they want to do in life, and to encourage them or inspire them to continue to do good work. A great part of this, the greatest part I think, was that a lot of these kids who didn't have birth certificates, I want to thank the Assessor Recorder's Office mobile unit. They showed up and they were there to print those certificates for those kids. If they didn't have a bank account, we partnered with Arrowhead Regional or Arrowhead Credit Union, and they actually left with a bank account with zero money deposit so they could have a direct deposit set up for them. I want to just take a moment to say I'm immensely proud of the progress we've made, but we still have much more work to do. And this is just the first step in many that we will be taking to ensure that our children have the greatest opportunity for success. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Cook.
Yes, if you've been watching the news, it's here we go again in the Middle East. Those of us that were in the military, we had a lot of time going back and forth, and the situation is very volatile. And once again, it's we're on the verge of war there, and so I hope you will pray. I pray that we don't go through this again, where lives are wasted on these situations, which seem about every 5 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Supervisor Hagman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tomorrow, May 7th, you need to have a real ID to fly on any airplane now. So for those who haven't got it, you need to bring your passport. We've been trying to get the word out, but Ontario International Airport will be having to enforce that. You can't get in if you're your driver's license anymore. So that starts tomorrow. We also have the Ontario Plus Visitors Program that will allow, if you're meeting a loved one at the airplane or taking someone to it, you get like a boarding pass to go through, security to go up to the gate, just like the old days. So we'll still do that, but you still have to have a real ID in order to do that as well. We also partnered up with Samuel Nation and Make-A-Wish to send an ill 15-year-old and his family to Hawaii this month. So that was nice to be part of Make-A-Wish Foundation. So we want to thank everyone involved. This week is, or this month's actually National Nurses Month or month. So we want to thank all our nurses for everything they do for our healthcare system. And a few events we've had in the district this last week. We had an annual Animal Resource Center, which is our new, we call it ARC for short, the new West End Animal Control. At one of our first meetings this morning, and we want to welcome Chino Hills. So this consists of Ontario, the county, Chino and Chino Hills, and Montclair right now for the West End. So it's a brand new organization to be a non-kill shelter. We also recently presented a Distinguished Business Award to Los Serranos Country Club, who celebrated their 100th anniversary. And we also attended Anthesis Brew Abilities to help those with intellectual and developmental disabilities through job training. We attended the Taste of Chino Valley at the shops in Chino Hills, attended the Chino Valley Fire Open House. And May is also a Military Appreciation Month. Thank you for all the serve, and my colleague, Colonel Cook, next door. So thank you for that. And one comment on our agenda, on number 16, our federal platform. I just want to make sure that we have renewable energies, but also hydrogen production, hydrogen technologies as we look forward. That will be a new fuel source in the future. We do have the first zero-emission passenger rail train here in North America, and our Redlands Rail for SBCTA, and does use hydrogen. So that will be an ongoing fuel needs or look at in the future. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
I see Leah shaking her head up and down receiving that. So thank you very much, Supervisor Hagman. As Supervisor Hagman mentioned, May 6th through 12th is National Nurses Week, and I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize our entire crew over at Arrowhead Regional Medical Center and all the nurses within our county. We thank them for their contributions to the communities and the patients that they serve. And I'd also like to remind everybody that this month, all employees and their families get into the Big Bear Zoo, so take advantage of that. And with that, we will move on to Lina. And do we have any revisions or changes to today's agenda?
Good morning, Madam Chair. No revisions today. Thank you.
All right. If any board member has a conflict of interest, now would be the time to disclose it. Seeing none, we will move on to our consent calendar, which today consists of items number 2 through 49. I do not have any requests to speak that I see at this time. Thank you for the motion, Supervisor Hagman, and the second, Vice Chair Baca. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With that, the consent calendar is passed unanimously.
Very well. Our first discussion item today is item number 50, which is our 2025-2026 financial update being presented this morning. It says by Luther, but I see Matthew Erickson approaching.
It's going to be a team effort. All right. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Today marks the second formal step in our annual budget process. The first was our budget workshop that took place a few meetings ago. And today we'll cover our 25-26 financial update. This is a kind of a precursor that Matthew and I intend to present today that gives you kind of some ideas as far as what Matthew and I are planning to recommend to you as part of the actual budget. At the end of this presentation today, Matthew will actually walk you through the specific next steps, but today we'll just do a high-level overview of some of the more general fund-related items that we are working towards. But before that, if we could go to the next slide, we'll really focus on a couple things here today. Risks, our county fiscal strategy, and then Matthew's going to talk about our 5-year forecast, our funding priorities, and again, next steps. So let me take these first couple items. Next slide, please. So right now is an interesting time for governments. As far as from a financial perspective, there's a lot of volatility in our markets. There is a lot of uncertainty with federal funding, and I would add, as you'll see down, the state budget. Also, some state funding. We've heard that there's potential updates to the May revise that would be significant for us. That will be out in approximately, I think has to be out by the 14th of May. So we'll know more soon, but we're also hearing there that there may be further revisions even after May to the state budget. So there's uncertainty both with federal and state funding. There's the potential, we've heard the R word, the recession word. We've also, Matthew's talked about stagflation and the risk of that. And then we also have just the normal risks that we as a county have at unfortunately, any given moment, we could face a disaster or some sort of natural event. So the county is as Matthew and I sit and look at where we are with our funding sources, where we are with our spending, just as a whole, we're trying to take into account these risks. So what we recommend will include these and consider these, while at the same time, given that these are just risks and there is uncertainty, but there is still, as Matthew and I have termed it, slow growth occurring and continuing to occur. What we've tried to do is balance allocating the resources from the standpoint of not being overly conservative and still promoting growth in where it makes sense in our services and growth where it makes sense in our budget, but limiting that from what we maybe would have normally recommended absent these other risks. So Matthew will dive into that in a bit more detail, but I just kind of want to set the stage. If we go to the next slide, if you just click on that, it's gonna populate a few things there. Prudent budgeting, 2 more clicks. Thank you. So really then, this culminates in what our fiscal strategy is today, given the uncertainties that we have and the risks that we face. Matthew and our goal here is to be prudent in our budgeting approach, to try to reduce volatility, and stabilize community services. So the budget that we intend to recommend and some of what will be talked about today, the goal and our strategy behind it is to do these things. So ultimately, the goal is to be able to consistently provide services to our residents, whether that be public safety, whether that be human services, whether that be parks and recreation, that we are able to continue those services at the level, if not at a higher level in the future that we are today, while not putting the county in undue risk of overspending or burning reserves that otherwise may help us should there be a significant impact to the county. So I think it's good for Matthew as our county's financial officer to jump in, dive into this in a bit more detail. So I'll turn it over to him now, and he'll begin to touch on some of the more specifics about our budget.
Next slide. Thanks so much, Luther. Chair Rao, members of the board, Matthew Erickson, CFO for the finance department. Yeah, Luther and I have discussed quite a bit. You know, there's so many uncertainties right now, but we've also set ourselves up to be so solid financially as an organization. And that really stems from not just like going forward this fiscal strategy, but really what we've been for several years with the direction of this Board of Supervisors. And so I want to highlight, I highlighted this last time, but you know, that little green box on the right-hand side, prior year funding for economic uncertainty, $74 million has already been, I say set aside. It's set aside to do different things within the organization. We're spending that money, but it's spent towards things that can be relatively easier cut in the event of a recessionary type impact. And so things like building acquisitions, building replacement reserves, asset replacements, those are all areas where we do have a lot of needs within the organization for capital projects, as we all know. We've been moving forward with a lot of capital projects, but in the event of economic recession or any other economic uncertainty, we can go to those areas to cut first if needed prior to hitting services. And so we like to highlight that it's not just a go forward prudent budgeting standpoint, but it's something that we've done for a very long time for our organization. Along that path, you know, we focus on our revenues and we focus on not overestimating our revenues. So on that first box right there, you'll see a property tax growth model that we look effectively to project revenues in a way that's, I think, reasonable, but also not over aggressive. And so we are projecting 3% property tax growth in our 5-year forecast, which I'll go over in a moment with you, when over the last 10 years, we've seen 6.7% annualized growth in our property tax revenues. And so it's an area where, because of the level of uncertainty that we have, we like to be very careful with projecting our revenue. It doesn't mean that we don't build that into our budget on an ongoing basis once we have those revenues. It's just that when we're projecting out, we don't like to over-project. And so that's what we focus on from a prudent budgeting standpoint. In addition, I want to highlight, and we have highlighted, that sales tax has seen a slowdown. It's really just about even right now. We haven't really seen much. It's like 0.5% decline on sales tax that we're seeing overall right now. So very even effectively. But what we don't do is we do not build new programs when revenue sources are basically stagnant for the upcoming year. And so that's not something we did. We had the opportunity in fiscal years 22-23 and 23-24 to allocate a lot of additional funding towards programs for our public safety departments. We're not projecting to do that with our sales tax this upcoming year. And then, as always, we wanted to highlight that we are always looking at strategic investments. And so one of the areas that we're recommending for next year to allocate some additional ongoing money towards our community concerns funding reserve We currently have about $3 million ongoing being set aside in that reserve, and we're recommending to allocate an additional 2.1. That's gone towards a lot of enforcement needs within the county. Illegal marijuana enforcement, illegal snow play. We've looked at illegal dumping, a lot of areas where the community has valid concerns about what's going on in their communities. The board's been able to allocate resources to our sheriff's department, our land use services department, our district attorney, and others to be able to take care of some of those enforcement needs. With that, next slide. By being prudent and careful with our budget planning, what we like to do is be able to take care of our core services. And our core services are run by our employees. And so preeminent and most important, the most important focus that we have within our budget is our employees. And you'll see in our 5-year forecast that I'll be going over in the next slide, over $208 million of investments in our county employees that are being set aside for the future for employee-related negotiations over the next upcoming years. In addition to that, we focus on core services for our county. And as you all know, one of the core services that we have within the county is our human service programs. We support vulnerable populations within our organization, within the county, including our foster care kids, our adoptions. We have in-home supportive services that we provide for folks that are in need. And so we're required to provide services for that. As I mentioned, we're careful on our revenues. We're also careful on our expenditures. And what I mean by that is we try to plan for any expenditure that may come our way, even when they hopefully don't. And so you'll note that I put up to $55.7 million for human services programs. We're actually looking at trying to find ways to potentially reduce that, at least partially, over the next 5 years, and we're working with the human services departments on that. And so we do want to be able to set that aside just in case there's that need, but we're hoping to reduce that at least partially over the next 5 years as well. And then lastly, another core service that we provide as a county, of course, is our public safety. Recently in 2024, with the passage of Proposition 36, which basically changed the law as it related to crimes related to theft and various drug use, made it a little bit more stringent. We've been working and are going to continue to work with our sheriff's department to see if there's potentially a need or a change in need within our jails. And we're setting aside recommending to set aside $8.7 million ongoing, just in the event that there is funding needed in the future for that. So that money has not been allocated for anything in the upcoming budget year, but that's really just set aside for the future in case we need it. Next slide. All right, so this slide with all the small numbers, I apologize, is our 5-year forecast. I like to go over what it means because I know it's a lot of numbers in there. This is our general fund forecast. This is not the entire county budget that you're looking at. Numbers-wise, you're looking at everything is in millions. The way this spreadsheet or table works is that everything is incremental, meaning everything is in addition to each other. So I'll just bring your attention to maybe line 3, property tax. You'll see roughly $30 million a year that is going into property tax over the next 5 years. What that means is in 25-26, we're projecting $32 million more in property tax compared to 24-25. The same thing for 26-27. We are expecting $33 million more compared to the prior year, 25-26. So what you do is you add it all up to get to the total over the 5-year projections on how much revenues we're projecting to see in property tax, which is that over $150 million number that you see on the far right column. That's the way the spreadsheet works. Positives to me means good, meaning if it's a positive, it means more revenue, or for a cost, if it's a positive, it means cost savings. If it's a negative, it means less revenue. For cost, it means additional cost. So positives, good, and that's just in finance speak, not that all costs are bad, but just from a deficit, maybe what might create a deficit versus a surplus within our forecast. A couple things I did want to highlight. Line item 1, we have $76.8 million ongoing that we are carrying over in general fund from this fiscal year, 24-25, that's going into next fiscal year. A portion of that was already planned. So we were already assuming $40 million last year going into this year that we would be carrying over into the future year. In addition to that, we are always careful, right, with our revenues. And I said, property tax we are careful with. So last year we were projecting 3% property tax growth. We're projecting that this year will come in closer to 6 or 7% property tax growth for this fiscal year. So that does get built into our forecast this year, and it goes into our expenditure plan. So that was planned. We are looking overall, if you look at our cost change, the bulk of our cost change are projected to be related to employee negotiations, that $208 million that we discussed. In addition to that, we have the human service programs that we discussed as well. And I'd like to highlight that, in item 10, or line 10, excuse me, we are looking to spend $15.6 million ongoing this year towards new programs and services for our county departments. Just for some comparison, last year at around this time, we were talking about over $40 million in ongoing programs that we were talking about. And this is like, as Luther and I discussed, given the amount of uncertainty, we're trying to be a little bit more cautious. It's not overly cautious. We are trying to expand our programs, but we didn't want to go necessarily overboard when we came to the allocation of ongoing resources. And then lastly, I just want to point out the bottom line, really what we look at. As I mentioned, we try to plan for ongoing surpluses. We are looking at surpluses over the next 2 fiscal years, and that's where you'll see next year we're planning on starting the year with a over $38 million ongoing surplus. The next year, over $26 million surplus that we're projecting. But then as we get into the out years, which frankly, there's more unknowns in the out years, and we know that, is when we're seeing potential deficits based off of our revenue projections today. This is why we're being a little bit more careful. We still have surpluses that we're happy to be able to move forward on different things that we need, but given the economic environment, the level of uncertainty, which is why we want to be a little bit more careful as we're approaching any ongoing new needs within the organization. I'll stop there just real quick if you have any questions. I know that was a lot. All right, great. Next slide. As Luther mentioned, we are discussing a lot of different priorities for the organization as a whole. That $205.2 million total investment for the county, this represents our general fund allocation, the new general fund monies that we're looking to allocate. Within that $205.2 million figure is that $15.6 million ongoing. In addition to that, all of the rest of that is one-time funds that we feel that are available to be able to spend. Again, just for some comparison, in prior years, it was over $350 million last year that we were recommending for expenditure. This year, obviously, a bit less, just given the uncertainty. This really matches a lot of what we've had categorically in prior years. So in prior years, there's been a focused investment on different board priorities, focus on infrastructure within the organization, economic development, community services, a wide array of things. So, on a couple things, from an infrastructure standpoint, we are looking at allocating additional funding for public works associated with matching funds for grants that we're looking to go ahead and perceive on various road and different types of projects that we have. We're looking at helping development assistance with land use services, various community services. I'll go ahead and jump to the next slide. We're always looking at capital replacement needs, and so what that represents is a wide array, frankly, for the sheriffs, for regional parks. We have a lot of different capital projects that we're wanting to focus on. We also have numerous department needs that we'll be preparing over the next couple weeks for you to really discuss and bring back to us with comments. And lastly, financial security. We always like to focus on that. I did want to highlight that we are, given the market volatility that we have right now, is looking more likely that we may not hit for our pension fund the rate of return that we're hoping for. It's not guaranteed. We are hoping to hit that return of 7.25% that I'll often talk about that we need to hit in order to not have additional costs for the county as a whole. It's looking maybe less likely. And so we're wanting to allocate one-time money of $25 million towards our retirement reserve next year, just in the event that those earnings don't come in as what we were anticipating. And so that is what I have from a programmatic growth side of things for the county in the upcoming fiscal year. And I will go to next steps. So for next steps, as you know, we met in March, had a discussion on the kind of a financial update. This was another where we focused more in on what we're planning to do with the general fund for the upcoming year. On May 20th is when you will receive the overall county budget. That's our budget book. We will publish that online and deliver that to you as well virtually. That will be available for the public to review as well. with any comments and questions that may come up for you. We'll be working with you over that 3 weeks prior to the budget hearing and adoption, which is planned for June 10th. And at that time is when we will discuss the budget and hopefully be able to adopt it. So with that, that is our presentation, and we'll be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Hagman.
Thank you. Just a comment. I really appreciate this has been an ongoing evolution under your leadership and Luther's stuff to be very transparent. Almost a quarter of the time of our budget year is spent collecting, showing where we're going, and really having a very thorough process that I know as supervisors we get a lot of inputs for both county departments as well as our community, and it's always been very reflective. And I think to maintain the conservative approach has really paid us dividends in the long run. So I appreciate that way. It's easy to spend all your money, then next year when you don't have it, it's harder to stop. And we see that as our bigger entities, the state and the federal government, kind of exceed their spending with their income. And we've taken the opposite approach for a long time. And so it's a very nice, transparent, conservative budget. Thank you for all the efforts.
Thank you, sir.
Vice Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. No, I just want to thank Matt and Luther and the entire department heads really for putting together a good budget. You think about, where we've been over the last 3 or 4 years. We received a little over $432.5 million in American Rescue Plan Act money. General revenues were high. Sales tax was high. But yet at the same time, we continue to move things forward. So I just want to thank the team for making significant investments. We've made a lot of upgrades over the last several years within our county departments, but the fact that we're, moving on a conservative basis, making sure that the county stays financially stable, I think that's important. But the other thing which Supervisor Hagman brought up is transparency. A lot of times we get comments from the public and they make comments that we don't share, we're not open. So I think we're very, very transparent on everything we're doing with our budget, our investments, and the board priorities, which were laid out here. And I know that we're going to discuss them again and later on this month and in a full adoption in June. But I just want to thank the team for really keeping the county of San Bernardino financially solvent. I think this is great work. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Supervisor Cook.
Yeah, I want to thank you very much for your presentation. I don't know, maybe it's just me. My previous job, the budget there was a little bit larger. And just when I got to the point where I thought I understood it, the people that were doing it left and went elsewhere for probably a huge increase. And you know what I'm talking about, I think. So it's very complicated. And your presentation was great. I, as somebody who is, a history major, and I can't even spell budget, so everything that goes into this, I have a translator at home, by the way. She's called my wife, and she not only figures it out, she spends everything. So once again, I know this is a labor of love and everything else. And trying to get a knucklehead like me to understand it. I actually am beginning to understand. That scares me more than anything else. It's a great presentation, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I have a story to tell. So Luther, when he was a new CEO, went to a forum convention for Southern California CEOs.
Yeah.
And I said, how exciting was it to take San Bernardino and learn? And he goes, it was great. I went in there and said, oh, we're all doing so fiscally sound, until I realized other counties weren't. And I quickly closed my mouth, he said.
Yeah, I think if I could add to that.
Please, I wanted you to share that story.
Yeah, so I attend the California Association of County Executives. It's all my peers throughout the state come together. And Chad Nottingham, one of my assistant executive officers, and I were there. And they opened up a roundtable where we were just talking about things that are on our mind. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna share some great things about how well we're doing financially, until someone else let out with how terrible it's going. And they're collectively in the entire room, I think most of the CEOs weighed in to talk about what they're facing: cuts, wage freezes, cut plans. And so Chad and I quickly looked at each other and shut up and sat there, because we didn't want to be the ones saying things are good here in San Bernardino when we were clearly the outliers. So because of the board's direction, because of Matthew's and his team's work over the past years, we have put ourselves in a strong financial position where we have added to services, we have grown, but we've done it responsibly. We've done it in a measured way so that the resources were put in place in a useful manner. They were invested wisely. We didn't just dump a ton of things out there so that there was waste because we had to find ways to spend it. We saved what we could and what we should, and we've continued to then take our savings and invest it. It really is paying dividends for this county, and I thank the board for your approach to how you have allowed us to operate, how you've given us direction to operate, so that we have, I think, really well balanced investment and growth with being conservative and secure in how we've done things. So thank you.
I appreciate you telling the story. And Matthew, thank you and your team and everybody for all the effort that goes into this. I have one request to speak from Natalia Saka today. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Board of Supervisor. My name is Natalia Saka. I am the Regional Policy Advocate for the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights, known as CHIRLA. Our office is based here in San Bernardino City. We serve the entire Inland Empire. We are dedicated to supporting the rights and well-being of immigrants as well as refugees. Today, I urge you to include immigrant communities as well as refugee communities in the San Bernardino County budget through 5 key investments. We are asking for 5 key incorporations to the county budget. First is to expand the access to legal services, particularly for those facing deportation and seeking asylum. Families are being ripped apart because of lack of representation, of legal representation. Second, to fund community education programs such as Know Your Rights, financial literacy, and civic participation workshops. And third, to ensure immigrants are fully included on all county programs by removing unnecessary barriers and improving language access. Fourth, to increase investment in affordable housing that is accessible to all residents, regardless of immigration status. And finally, to create good jobs by partnering with local employers and training providers to expand apprenticeships and career pathways for undocumented youth and immigrant workers. CHIRLA has a policy team that is ready to support the county in developing these programs, and I have given you a detailed proposal per your county staff. I thank you.
Thank you very much. If there are no other board member comments or questions, this is a receive and file item, so we will move on to item number 51, which is our law enforcement agencies military equipment funding acquisition and use policy 202 report, being presented this morning by our Deputy Chief, Shelley Crosby, and I will open the public hearing as she makes her way down. Good morning. Good morning, Sergeant.
Morning.
Good morning, Chair Rao, board members. I am Deputy Chief Shelley Crosby with the Sheriff's Department, and with me today I have Sergeant Ian Golditch. The presentation today is our annual review of AB 41, which is the Law Enforcement Military Equipment Funding, Acquisition, and Use report on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, the District Attorney's Office, and the Probation Department. Thank you. Okay, the background of Assembly Bill AB 41, in January of 2022, it became effective, and it required law enforcement agencies and their local governing bodies to follow certain procedures prior to the funding, acquisition, and use of military equipment by those agencies. It implemented the goal of safeguarding the public's welfare, safety, civil rights, and civil liberties upon the use of that equipment. Next slide, please. Military equipment defined. Just a note here, the definition of military equipment as presented here is defined by the statute, by the legislators, the California legislators. It does not necessarily define all of the equipment that's actually used by the military, if that makes sense. Some of the military equipment that's defined, this includes but is not limited to the use of drones, armored personnel carriers, wheeled vehicles that have a breaching or entry apparatus attached, command and control vehicles, and certain .50 caliber or greater firearms and ammunition. Some specialized firearms and ammunition, including assault weapons, any firearm or accessory that's designed to launch explosive projectiles, battering rams, slugs, breaching apparatus that are explosive in nature, flashbangs, grenades, explosive breaching tools, tear gas, pepper balls, projectile launch platforms, munitions, including our 40-millimeter projectile launchers, beanbags, rubber bullets, and other specialty impact munition weapons. In March of 2022, each law enforcement agency in San Bernardino County created a military equipment use policy and the first annual military equipment report. These documents were uploaded and they're publicly available on all of the respective law enforcement agencies' websites. Each law enforcement agency's policy and military equipment report describes some of the following items: our inventory, the purposes and authorized uses, the fiscal impact, the legal and procedural rules that are governing that use, the training required prior to use, procedures to ensure that the policy is in compliance, and any public input procedures that where they can register concerns and questions and how the agencies shall respond. In April of 2026, the law enforcement agencies held a community engagement meeting. The public was able to discuss and ask questions about our policies, our equipment reports, and our funding, acquisition, and use of that particular equipment. Also, at a regular board meeting, the Board of Supervisors considered an open session agenda item regarding our policies and reports, and it was provided for public comment. At this meeting, the board adopted the ordinances listed above, and they approved each agency's policy and military equipment funding, acquisition, and use. These particular ordinances are subject to annual review. In adopting those ordinances, the board found that the law enforcement agencies had complied with those the ordinances, and our military equipment was necessary. It used policies that would safeguard the public's welfare. It was reasonably cost-effective, and the board also found that our prior military equipment use complied with any military equipment use policy that was in effect at the time. During the annual review, law enforcement agencies must create and post their annual military equipment reports to their public websites. Those reports discuss our military equipment use, our inventory, and our fiscal impact for the prior calendar year. And within 30 days of our agencies releasing those reports, we will then hold public community engagement meetings where the public may discuss and ask questions about the reports and about our funding, acquisition, and use of that equipment. This year, those reports were posted by the Sheriff's Department, the Probation Department, and the District Attorney's Office on both April 7th and April 15th. They were loaded onto our respective websites. And those reports were for the use and acquisition, use, and funding from January 1st of 2024 through December 31st of 2024. And today is the public meeting during which the public may comment and ask questions about those reports. Also, during the annual review, the board shall, at a regular meeting and as an open session agenda item that provides for public comment, evaluate and vote on whether it should renew the previously adopted military equipment use ordinances, and also determine if each type of military equipment identified in our reports complies with Government Code Section 7051. At the meeting today, if the board finds that any military equipment identified in our reports does not comply with the Government Code section, then the board shall determine whether it will either disapprove renewal of authorization for that particular type of military equipment, or require modification to our equipment use policies that will resolve the lack of compliance. That is the presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you very much. We have one request to speak at this time from Carlo.
Good morning, everybody. How's everyone doing? I'm a Special Operations veteran. And so I just want to go ahead and say we did it, folks. But let's start off with the good news. We no longer have to risk officers' lives in child welfare cases, thanks to the people like Cristina Rodriguez, who weaponized false allegations and used threats of force, including sending police to take my 1-month-old daughter, dressed in technical gear and the same military equipment I used when I was in Special Operations, like as if I was hiding weapons of mass destruction. Today, I come not in frustration, but in sheer amazement. Because San Bernardino County has cracked the code. They've done what decades of advocacy, reform, and heartache couldn't accomplish. They declared war. They declared victory in the war of child abuse. Who would have known it was the agency that has done what they've always done? How do you ask? By awarding custody to a parent who has a long record of breaking court orders, spraying my kids with oven cleaner in their faces, groping my daughter's vaginas, and trying to coerce their testimony from accusations her boyfriend faced from my middle child. Behavior that would have jailed brown and black men and women alike. But as Crystal Newman, she said I would go to jail for what the mother did. But not here. San Bernardino cracked the code. Here, apparently it's a fast track to get 100% custody of your kids. It's always been about faces, not facts, right? CFS? Supervisor Vaca and Amendorez, I'm sorry, but your mother would have gone to jail for what my ex-wife did. Beautiful brown and black faces would have gone to jail for what my ex-wife did. If we apply this new standard to all families, we technically solve child abuse. And therefore, the war's over. CFS 1, declare Liberation Day. Return the kids to their families, their moms. Why are they having them holding up for 4 years and ongoing? So let's give a round of applause. San Bernardino, you changed the game, not by fixing the system, by lowering the standards that anything passes for acceptable. Because if this is justice for one, we should apply it to us all. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the last request to speak that I have. If we have no other board member comments or questions, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Vice Chair Baca, for the motion and Supervisor Hagman on the second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we could also close the hearing?
I will close the public hearing.
Thank you very much. With that, the item passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. That is our last discussion item today. We will move on to public comment on items not on the agenda. The first request to speak, thank you very much, both of you, for the presentation today, is from Carlo again, and who will be followed by Garth Pazant, and then Ray Clubberson.
Hello again. I didn't expect to speak this fast back to back, but essentially the last time I was here, I had told the board that I was going to be losing my kids on May 1st. And sure as hell it happened. And not because I had abused my kids as I was explaining to you earlier. It's because I advocated for them. And the excuse that Humberto Santana was saying that I couldn't heal. I have text messages about that. And what does that mean? Healing. Does it mean that I have to accept the fact that my ex-wife groped my kids, sprayed them in the face with oven cleaner, and also body slammed them for doing what? Wanting to read a Bible, and that happened about 3 times. They wanted to read the Bible, and my ex-wife attacked them for it. And what do they say? I've told Mr. Jonathan Byers here, I've told the whole executive team, and I still got my kids taken away. They railroaded a good dad, a veteran. Colonel Cook, thank you for your service, but they did it to me. You know, I was put on a CACI list, the Child Abuser Index, for allegations that I did not do. I took my kids to therapy. But Cristina Rodriguez, in her intelligence, decided I should be placed on it for not taking my kids to therapy. But the therapist said I've always been there. But the mother was a no-show. How's that? How does that fact exist in the same dimensional truth space? It doesn't. What is true is gender bias, racial bias, and prejudice. There's nothing else that can explain why a rich white woman can get away with all of that. But yet brown and black faces that I see, beautiful ones over there sitting in court in despair, have to languish for years for less, for a lot less that they had done to their own kids and other people's kids too. But yet here I stand. I lost custody. I got court tomorrow because guess what? Now she's got 100%. I got to pay out. I've always paid for my kids. I've always been a good dad. Always. But I did not expect CFS to be driving that train that ran me over. And they ran me the hell over and back and forth. But guess what? Here I still am. Because I'm a good dad. And I represent all the good dads out there. And also the brown and black faces that, guess what, have no voice in this system. None. It's despicable. But at the end of the day, I serve my community and I serve my country like I did in Africa, where I almost died when Russian 120 rockets hit our position. But here I am. If you guys want to run me over again, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Garth Pizant, followed by Ray Clubberson, and then Samantha Trazo.
Within jurisdiction before the Honorable Board of Supervisors, to Public Defender Thomas Song, due to your efforts, the public defender is no longer public pretender. I take my hat off to you. May Jehovah bless you. As soon as we come out of our mother's womb, we sin. This was not the plan from the beginning. Now mankind, for the people, by the people, independent from our grand creator Jehovah God, by court of law, has established criminal enhancements 10 to 25 years prison time each time we commit a crime/sin. Jehovah does not enforce criminal enhancements, though you will reap what you sow. See that you harm no one. Consequently, if you do, your sins will be forgiven. Thereafter, your sentencing will be that you serve the rest of your natural-born life to turn this earth into a paradise real estate forever, and I will be appointed your field superintendent. Boycott Enterprise Rent-A-Car and its affiliates. They are supported by the world's largest drug cartel. Insure and rent your vehicle to your neighbor. Spain, Asia, and Britain control the United States of America. To take America back, you must take Spain, Asia, and Britain. To the Honorable Board of Supervisors, did you get your wage increase? You're going to need it because soon you'll be working for me. The family law courts are stripping families apart. Do not trust these attorneys nor paralegals. If at all possible, reconcile. If your family is destroyed, next to die is your community and then the rest of humankind. All right, listen up. A female will not be allowed to run this earth. She may manage it, but a male will make the decisions around here. To all homeless, once you are dropped off on San Bernardino land, you are assigned a housing specialist at the County Housing Authority office on 715 East Briar Drive, 92408. Go there and camp out on the property until you get what you want. Leave the police up to me.
Thank you. Ray Clubberson, followed by Samantha Trazo, and then Rena Coy.
Hello, Board of Supervisors. I want you guys to remember back last Friday, if you ever saw a video of officers being attacked by students, supposedly Entrepreneur High School, this happened. The video got 4 million views. I'm here to set the record straight and tell you what I'm going to do. I'm one of the founders of Entrepreneur High Schools. We have several schools, and our goal is designed to make sure that kids learn entrepreneurial skills and that they learn how to navigate society and not have obstacles. On this Friday, the story happened, and it said it was a melee at Entrepreneur High School. It wasn't. It was 2 students who got into a verbal 415. 415 happened. One student came in the office. The other student was outside the office sending threats to the other student inside the office. That other student called her parents and her sisters to come down to the campus. Once that happened, the officers, school police, went in to try to engage and de-escalate some of the situation. They were then caught up in a big melee, and if you watch the video, you'll see that it got out of control. But none of our students, it was 2 students, all the other students were gone. But that's not the real issue. The real issue is that leadership requires us to now start to take responsibility for parents' actions that bring their older daughters to school to fight, parent actions that support things that happen in the schools or creating more obstacles for those things to happen. It is a travesty that this kind of thing happens, and it happens at a lot of different schools and a lot of different places. And so in this particular case, leadership requires me to take the charge. I took the charge when social emotional learning needed to take place. I took the charge when due process needed for suspensions. I've been there to support police when they were doing the right thing. I've been there to tell the police they're doing the wrong thing. I worked with individuals all through the system. And now it's time for all of us as leaders to look at what's happening and look at the breakdown in communities and start to figure out how to address them. And it doesn't require more money. It requires us to take more action. You see something going wrong with your neighbor's kid, you need to touch base. You see something wrong with somebody else, you need to get engaged, because you can't have a breakdown, fundamental breakdown, where people are attacking police officers when they're doing their job, and we can't have a breakdown when police officers go overboard. We have to find the neutral ground and do that. In this situation, many things happen. And you're going to see me out there talking about how we bring the community together and hold people accountable for their actions to make sure schools are safe and people are safe. And in that instant, I think two or three kids weren't under, 2 or 3 adults weren't under control. And the thing is, San Bernardino Sheriff's Department came to our school, as they usually do, and helped and supported what was necessary to be done. So I want to thank them for that portion and their fast response. I'm going to say this.
Thank you very much, sir. Samantha Trazo, followed by Rena Coy, and then Christian Dean Karanko.
Good morning, Madam Chair. My name is Samantha Trazo. I'm a senior at iPoly High School in Pomona doing this for my senior capstone project, but I'm a longtime Fontana resident. I'm here today to request your support for a music resource library at the Fontana Lewis Library. My petition calls for a dedicated portion of the county library budget to fund instruments, resources, and workshops for Fontana youth. Fontana's youth lack readily accessible enrichment outside limited, scheduled programs, posing challenges for working parents. This absence limits their access to creative outlets. The solution is a music resource library at the Lewis Library, offering ongoing musical engagement for youth who may not otherwise have these opportunities. This will enhance crucial soft skills and community belonging. Fostering a vibrant and enriching environment for youth is of utmost importance. While Fontana offers some valuable activities, many are structured events with limited availability. This often creates a significant barrier for working parents who deal with inflexible schedules and logistical challenges. The result is a lack of readily accessible, ongoing opportunities for children to explore their interests, develop crucial skills, and cultivate a lifelong love of learning outside of scheduled programs. Thus, earmarking a dedicated budget will ensure consistent funding and effective implementation. This investment is a prudent and responsible use of public funds, directly aligning with community values by fostering community engagement, ultimately strengthening the City of Fontana. Therefore, I respectfully urge the Board of Supervisors to approve a dedicated budget within the 2025 to 2026 plan for this music resource library at the Lewis Library. This will significantly improve youth engagement and create a more vibrant Fontana. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Rena Coy, followed by Christian Dean Karanko, and then Jane Hunt-Rubel.
Good morning, Madam Chair and the Board of Supervisors. My name is Rena Ko, and I am a senior at iPoly High School. Over the past year, I have conducted extensive research, interviews, and attended board meetings, all with the goal of creating positive change in my community. As part of my capstone project, I've chosen to focus on addressing heart failure and increasing support for cardiovascular health. In my research for this project, I have found that the percentage of county residents who were diagnosed with heart disease decreased from 7.9% in 2019 to 7% in 2020. In 2020, San Bernardino County's death rate due to heart disease was 199.5 age-adjusted deaths per 100,000 residents. And as of recent research, about 428,500 households are affected by the high cost of cardiovascular tests that range from $600 to $7,000. In response to this, I have started a petition to, first, lower the cost of cardiovascular tests, and second, to secure funds for heart screenings through a combination of government grants, partnerships with nonprofit organizations, private donations, and public health initiatives. This petition calls for the introduction of low-cost or free heart screenings across the San Bernardino County. By providing accessible heart screenings, we can detect cardiovascular diseases early, making treatment more effective and less burdensome. It's an essential step in addressing the heart health inequalities that exist in our community. I've spoken to some of the San Bernardino County residents, and I'm continuing to gather more signatures in support of this. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. Christian Dean Karanko, followed by Jane Hunt-Rubel, and then a speaker who is signed up as Les.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christian Dean Karanko. I'm also a student who attends iPoly High School. After doing some research behind the lack of diversity in psychology, I've decided to do a petition. San Bernardino County is over 70% non-white, yet most mental health providers are white, and so I decided to go with petitioning for a local Cal Grant to eligible students that are from underrepresented communities in San Bernardino. I've gathered 100 signatures so far, and I'm heading to 200 on Friday. Therefore, I urge the Board of Supervisors to help allocate these funds. And yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To all of our students here today, we wish you well in your capstone projects, and feel free to reach out to any of us individually if you need additional research. Jane Hunt-Rubel, followed by Les.
Good morning, board members. I was a little late today because for something I'm going to talk about pertaining to, I had a big water geyser out in front of my property on my easement, because it all ties in with last weekend, last Friday night, they had a wonderful rave party 3 doors up from me, and I called the sheriff, and I love our sheriff. They do a good job. But this is the second time in about 4 months, I had to call on the same property. They have big old parties. They have 2 acres, and they shoot off fireworks and have cars parking on both sides of our easements, our street. And so I finally phoned again, and because I said, well, I want to file charges against these people. You know, because I waited for about 2 hours, and then I phoned them again because it was getting louder. And they came out, and dispatch told me at first, the first time they came out, I said, what did you tell the people? I'm willing to file a complaint against them. And they said, well, the officer said, the people told him, well, we'll turn it down. But then the moment they leave, they turn it right back. So I kept on phoning, and they finally did come out and solve the problem. But it all stems from them parking in the streets on our easements, which is no parking, where our water meters are. We got new water meters. Thank you, Baca, for that. A month ago. But my neighbors called me this morning about 5:30 and said, there's a big geyser going up in your property. And I said, what? So I went out there, and I said, oh my God, it was like the geyser at Yellowstone. So I freaked out, and I went in and phoned Water Department, San Bernardino City, but I also phoned Elko, who did the put in the new pipes and everything, and it was coming from outside of my property, thank God. And they came out quickly, and they dug the ditch, and they found somebody, he saw the tire marks. He said somebody ran over the pipes that they had just put in, and I said, oh. So I'm here to complain about, I know you guys can't do anything about, when they have these big parties and everything, and people ignore the cones and everything, and they're not, they almost hit my fence, apparently, because our water meters used to be right up against the fence, but now they moved them towards the street. And so I'd really like to commend, I hope something can be done about, we shouldn't have to keep on phoning on these people with the fireworks and everything, and when it's the same house. So I know you guys can't do it.
Thank you, Jane. Our last request to speak is from Les.
Mic check. Okay. These meetings are too early. Taxpayers can't come out to these meetings. Hardworking people. The city council do the same thing. They have meetings at awkward times where people are at work that can't come. But I get it why you guys do that. I see the sheriff department is asking for money. Can the sheriff department escort these ladies that's selling their vaginas in front of the elementary school, Jones's Elementaries that's down the street? Can they escort those ladies off the block? Because they're doing that in front of an elementary school, right down the street. What else? To the fire department, can you guys start pushing for emergency shelter? Because we witnessed LA fire. Everybody's house got burnt down, but you know, fire is the main thing that we go through. So can you guys push for emergency shelter? I know we have a lot of warehouses that's empty. I know we can use it. I know you guys, the county has buildings that we can use to the county. You guys need to start working closely with the city council because we have a lot of lawsuits going on with the city council members. We have a $2 million lawsuit going on right now. So you guys need to kind of go over there and check them about that, you know. What else? To the American people, we need to boycott anything that Elon Musk touch because Elon Musk is making us lose our jobs pretty soon because AI and robots will be taking warehouse jobs, truck driving jobs, and then the crime rate is going to go up to the sheriff department. So we can stop that before it happens. So let's boycott anything Elon Musk touch. What else? A little off subject. General Langley, please take your hands off of Africa. You're just another coon that the Western European power structure is just using to go over there. So, and it's funny that you want to go over there now, but back when Apple and Mac, when Apple was using children to dig up cobalt, I didn't see you saying anything or doing anything, but now you want to go over there and talk about the gold. So take your hands off of Africa. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is our last request to speak that I have. Our meeting is adjourned. Our next regularly scheduled Board of Supervisors meeting will be here in Chambers, 10 a.m. on May 20th. Thank you very much.